Hello everyone, this is Richard from MTG Goldfish, and today I have the brand new Duel decks Blessed versus Cursed here, and we're going to take a look at what's inside. This was released today, February 26th, and it sells for $19.99. You can get it at your local game store, Walmart, Target, big box stores like that, and of course online, Amazon, and eBay. So this is the Duel deck product. It comes with two 60-card decks that are ready to play, and they're balanced to be played against each other. And you can see that this one comes with two mythics, Geist of Saint Traft and Mind Rack Demon. So let's actually take a look here. As a reminder, these aren't standard legal. These are just supplemental products. But we do have 6 new cards from the new Shadows over Innstrad set in here. So we'll take a look at those today. So we'll open up the box here. So what do we have inside? So we have obviously the cards. We have 2 spin down. They're just the generic Planeswalker symbols. And we have our 2 decks here. And we have the standard things you always find in supplemental products. You have 2 deck boxes. They're not too sturdy, but they hold the cards. You can see here is Geist of Saint Traft, and here's Mind Rack Demon. So just some storage. We have the insert. It tells you a bit about the story. It gives you the deck list, and it tells you how to play your decks a little bit. So these are geared towards newer players, and there's some good lore in here as well. And as always, there is a magic reference card which teaches you how to play the game. So let's take a look at the cards that come in here. So we have Geist of Saint Traft here. Let me zoom in a bit. So Geist of Saint Traft is the kind of chase card in this. He's obviously foil with new art. He's originally, I think it was the Innstrad block, Innstrad itself, I believe. Right now, this card is worth about $12 to $13. So you're kind of getting your money's worth with this pack. So it's a 3-mana 2/2 hexproof. Whenever Geist of Saint Traft attacks, put a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying into the battlefield tapped and attacking. Exile that token at the end of combat. So he's a pretty good creature. Sees play in Modern a little bit. Saw a lot of play while he was in Standard. Basically, it's just a 2/2 that's really hard to deal with, and when it attacks for 6 damage, 4 of which is flying. So that's pretty sweet. Let's open up the rest of the deck here. So here we have Champion of the Parish. Champion of the Parish is another awesome card. It's worth about $2 as of this recording. It's just a 1-to-cast 1/1 human soldier. And when another human enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of the Parish. So great for human tribal decks, blitz decks where you kind of just unload your hand quickly, and Champion of the Parish can get out of hand, can be a 3/3 or 4/4 for just 1 mana. The another rare, Dearly Departed, 6-to-cast 5/5, flying, and as long as Dearly Departed is in your graveyard, each human creature you control enters the battlefield with additional +1/+1. So more human synergies here, also a reprint. Here's one of the new cards. Eerie Interlude. 3-to-cast instant. Exile any number of target creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So a lot of people are excited about this card. You can abuse, enter the battlefield effects. the standard rally decks can take advantage of this. You can choose which creatures to blink. So normally the downside of this effect is if you blink your tokens, they die. But in this case, you can choose not to blink your tokens. So this is one of the new cards from Shadows over Innistrad. Increasing Devotion. This is another awesome token maker. Put 5 white humans, 1/1s, on the battlefield. If you flash it back for 9, you can get 10 tokens instead. Captain of the Mists. You can, when you play a human, you untap the captain, and then you can pay 2 to tap or untap a permanent. So possibly part of infinite combos in EDH. And now we get into kind of the commons. You got Doom Traveler, Topplegeist is one of the new cards. 1 to cast 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. And it has the new mechanic Delirium. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, tap target creature that player controls. So this is an interesting card. So basically you need, say, an instant, a sorcery, a land, and a creature, or something like that in your graveyard. So 4 different types, and then every turn you get to tap down your opponent's creatures. So this is awesome for tempo decks. How playable this is will depend on how easy it is to get Delirium going in the new standard. I'll actually get 2 Topplegeists. Thraben Heretic, Elder Cathar, Village Bellringer. So you can see the human synergies here. Emancipation Angel. This is an awesome angel. When it enters the battlefield, return a permanent you control to its owner's hand. It's just a 3/3 flying for 3 with awesome art. Fiend Hunter, good removal. Slave of the Wicked, Towergeist, Mistраven. So you can see this deck is basically a bunch of human synergies and some flyers. Bonds of Face. So this is an interesting card. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 as long as it's a human. Otherwise, it can't attack or block. So it either pumps your humans or is a pacifism. Gather the Townsfolk, human token generator. Here's a new card from Shadows over Innistrad. Pour Over the Pages. 5 to cast sorcery, draw 3 cards, untap 2 lands, discard a card. And then we get into our lands. So we have some gain lands in here, and then basic lands. So the art is pretty varied from multiple sets here. And I think the rest are just lands. Let's dig through. We have some tokens. So here's our angel token for Geist of Saint Traft. It's a 4/4 angel. And then we have the human tokens for Gather the Townsfolk. So that was the blessed deck. And here we have the cursed deck. So also a new card, Mind Rack Demon. 4 to cast 4/5 Flying Trample. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. And Delirium, at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 4 life unless there are 4 or more card types amongst cards in your graveyard. So I think this card is going to see a lot of play in Standard. Again, it's going to depend on how hard it is to enable Delirium. But even if you don't, you're only taking 4 damage. So if you're dealing your opponent 4 damage, you're kind of equal. And if you put this in an aggressive deck, you can take advantage of that. 4/5 Flying Trample is actually very hard to deal with. So I expect us to see play, but we'll see how that shakes out. Let's open up the new pack. So this is the rest of the cursed deck. Havengull Runebinder. This is a reprint. A 4 to cast 2/2. You can pay 3 to exile a creature from your graveyard, and you put a zombie 2/2 zombie onto the battlefield. and then put a +1/+1 counter on each zombie you control. So this would be pretty sweet for blue-black zombie decks. Gravecrawler, it's another one of the value cards. Gravecrawler is worth about $6, I think, right now. It's 1 to cast 2/1 zombie. It can't block, and you may cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. So always very annoying to deal with a recurring threat in zombie decks. Harvester of Souls, 6 to cast 5/5 Death Touch. When another non-token creature dies, you may draw a card. Sever the Bloodline. You can exile target creature and all other creatures with the same name, and you can flash it back. Unbreathing Horde. This is the zombie where it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each other zombie you control and each zombie card in your graveyard. And when it takes damage, you just remove a +1/+1 counter. And now we just get some of the more common and uncommon zombies. Diagraph Ghoul, 1 to cast 2/2. Butcher's Ghoul, 1/1 Undying. Screeching Scab, just a 2/1, and you mill 2 cards. Tooth Collector is a new card. When Tooth Collector enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent control gets -1/-1 until end of turn. It's a 3 to cast 3/2. And Delirium, during your upkeep, or during your opponent's upkeep, you can give a creature -1/-1. Scrapskin Drake, Ghoul Razors, Stitch Drake. Here's a Lord Diagraph Captain, so 3 to cast 2/2, Death Touch. Other zombies you control get +1/+1. When another zombie you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life. This is a cool zombie. It's a 4 to cast 3/2 First Strike, and when a creature dealt damage by Abattoir Ghoul dies, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. More zombies and vampires. Human Frailty. This is a very flavorful card. Just 1 black, destroy target human. My favorite card, Cobbled Wings. It's a 2-mana equipment. Pay 1 to equip, and target creature gets flying. Or equipped creature gets flying. Victim of Night. It's a pretty staple removal here. Just black, destroy target non-vampire, non-werewolf, non-zombie. Barter in Blood. 4 mana. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. We have new art on Dread Return here. 4 mana, sorcery. Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Flashback. Sacrifice 3 creatures. So staple in Dredge decks. Staple in EDH. Reanimator decks. Just an awesome card. Here is a zombie token generator card. And we get into our lands. So let's skip through the lands. And the tokens for this deck are human, spirit, zombie, zombie, zombie. So there you have it. That's the Duel deck. I think this Duel deck's pretty cool. There's some awesome cards in here. Geist of Saint Traft, Gravecrawler, Champion of the Parish. Those 3 cards alone equal $20, which is how much you're paying for this. And then you get a whole bunch of other cards. Cards like Dread Return, very playable. You get a bunch of zombies. So if you want to build a zombie deck, this kind of gets you started. This product is, I would think of it more like a board game. You can just keep it around and have a spare deck, so when your friends come over, you can teach them to play Magic and you have something to play against. That's how I always view these Duel decks. It's just decks you have around that you can introduce people to Magic with, or you can just play and have a fun game. The decks are fairly balanced. When these cards are released on Magic Online, we'll have a playtest video where we'll play the decks and see how they fare. But overall, I think this product's pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, the other bonus is you get to play with 6 Shadows over Innstrad cards before they're released. Mind Rack Demon is very cool. And you get the 2 foils, so the Mind Rack Demon and the Geist of Saint Traft. So if you're hesitant about this, I would just pick it up. It's $20. You get a bunch of cool cards, and you get to play with cards before they're released. And you get something to introduce to your friends Magic with. So that's all for this video. I'll have links to the deck lists below in the description if you want to see the deck lists more thoroughly. And if you want to purchase from Amazon, there's also links as well. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and check out mtggoldfish.com for the latest prices, decks, and strategies. Thanks.